Standard form of linear functions. So the standard form of a line is in this format. Ax plus by equals c. So a, b, and c are real numbers, but a and b are not 0. So they can be a 2, -3, -5, but they're not 0. Okay. So graphing in standard form. Determine the x and the y intercepts of the function. So you only need 2 points to create a line. And with standard form, the easiest way to find 2 points is to find the intercepts. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the x-intercept. And you find the x-intercept by replacing y with 0. So it's going to be -4x plus 2 times 0 equals -12. And we're solving for x. Well, 2 times 0 is 0. So all I really have is -4x equals -12. And then divide out the -4. And you get x equals to a +3. So the coordinate you are plotting is 3, 0. There's 1 point. I do need another one to create a line. So step 2 is to find the y-intercept. And we're going to do that by plugging in x is 0. So -4 times 0 plus 2y equals -12. 4 times 0 is 0. So 2y equals -12. And to get y alone, we divide out the 2. And so y is equal to a -6. So the coordinate we're graphing is 0, -6 here. Now that we have 2 points, all we need to do is create a line through those 2 points and put arrows at the end, and that will be our linear function. Let's pause the video, try example 2. This was the line you should have had for example number 2. Be careful with the coefficient of y. It's a negative, so you cannot drop that negative on the coefficient of y. Now writing equations in standard form. So we have 2 other forms that we have done so far. So far we've talked about slope-intercept form, which was the y equals mx plus b, slope and a y-intercept. And then we also had point-slope form, which was y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This was a point, any point, and the slope. So for standard form, you cannot write directly into standard form. You have to start at either slope-intercept or point-slope and then convert it into standard. So there's a couple rules when you do that. First of all, x and y have to be on the same side, x, y. And the number constant is on the right of the equal sign. The equation also cannot contain any fractions or decimals. Fractions and decimals are the same idea. So for example 3, it says we want to write the equation in standard form that has a y-intercept of 4 and a slope of -1/2. So evaluate what you are given and decide, do I need to start in slope-intercept or can I start in point-slope? So we are given a y-intercept and a slope. Well, slope is always m, so that one's easy. Well, y-intercept is b. So since I have both m and b, I can start in slope-intercept form. I can start here at mx plus b. So we're going to plug in the numbers that we have. So y equals slope, which is -1/2 x, plus the y-intercept of 4. Now, if I had asked you to write this in slope-intercept form, you would be done. But since the question wants it in standard form, we need to now manipulate this and change it into ax plus by equals c. So the first thing I need to do is get the x and the y on the same side. So I need to move this -1/2 x. So we're going to add 1/2 x to both sides, just like we would a regular number. If I needed to get rid of a -1/2, we would add it. So this is going to be a 0. So on the left, we have 1/2 x plus y equals 4. Now, it's almost in standard. We have x and y on the same side and the constants by itself. But there's rule number 2. I cannot have any fractions. So we need to get rid of the denominator of a 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by whatever is in the denominator. In this case, a 2. So when I do 2 times 1/2, 2 over 1 times 1/2, you end up with 2 over 2, which is a 1. So this is really just x plus 2 times y, got to multiply everything by the 2, is 2y equals, and then 2 times 4 makes 8. So this would be your final standard form because there is no fractions, x and y are on the same side, and the constant is over by itself. Let's look at example 4. Write the equation of the line in standard form that passes through 4, 7, and -1, -3. Well, now in this case, we were given 2 points. So in either method, slope-intercept or point slope, I need the slope of the line, which I was not given. So I have to actually go find the slope of the line before I can do anything. Because a linear function always has slope. So if I'm not given slope, I need to go find the slope. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to have -3 minus 7 over -1 minus 4. -3 minus 7 makes -10. -1 minus 4 makes -5. So my slope is a +2. Now that I have slope, we need to see, can I start in slope-intercept or do I need to start in point slope? Well, remember, for slope-intercept, you have to have the y-intercept, which is 0, comma, a number, which I don't have. I have 4, 7, and -1, -3. There is no y-intercept here. So I have to start in point slope form. I'm not going to be able to use slope-intercept. So we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Plug in what we have. So y minus y1, which I labeled y1 as a 7, so I'm just going to keep with it. So minus 7 equals m of a 2, which we found earlier, times x minus x1, which was a 4. If this had said write it in point slope, we would be done. But since I want it in standard form, we need to have it looking like ax plus by equals c. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get rid of those parentheses. Standard form does not have parentheses, so we're going to distribute. So 2 times x makes 2x, 2 times -4 makes -8. Then I like to get my constants together first. So I'm going to add the 7 to both sides. So y equals 2x minus 1. Now if we look, this is actually slope-intercept form. So if I had wanted it in slope-intercept, we would be finished. However, we still want it in standard. I still got to get it to look like ax plus by equals c. So the last thing we need to do is move the x. I have the constants all gathered. I need to put the x on the other side. So since this is a +2, we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. Do the opposite. If it's addition, subtract. If it's subtraction, add. So we have -2x plus y equals -1. Now that it looks close, we have ax plus by equals c. We have to check and make sure there are no fractions. So -2, a 1, and a -1, no fractions. So this is our final standard form. Now for the next section, we're going to write in a specified form. So the answer may be in slope-intercept, the answer may be in standard. It just depends on what the question is asking. Okay, so like number 5, it says write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So there's how I want my answer. So let's review. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. That's how my answer needs to look. That passes through these 2 points. So I have 2, 8 and -2, -5. Well, no matter what, I need to find slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is going to be x1 and y1. This will be x2 and y2. Okay, so let's plot these guys out. So -5 minus 8 over -2 minus 2. So -5 minus 8 makes -13. -2 minus 2 makes -4. Well, I can't change 13 over 4, but I can do a negative divided by a negative, which makes it a positive 13 over 4 for my slope. So now that I have the slope, I have to evaluate. So I can either start in mx plus b, which is slope-intercept, or I can start in point slope. Well, to get it into slope-intercept directly, I need to have the y-intercept, which I don't have. So I'm going to start here in point slope form instead, because I do have 2 points. So I'm going to start there. So we're going to have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we're going to plug in our numbers. So we're going to have y minus y1, I labeled an 8, so we're just going to keep it the same, equals m, which is that 13 over 4, times x minus x1, which is a 2. Now, to get it into slope-intercept, if I look at my slope-intercept form, it has y alone. So I'm basically solving this equation for y. I need to get y by itself. So first thing is to distribute. So 13 over 4 times x makes 13 over 4x. 13 over 4 times a negative 2. Do it to the side. 13 over 4 times negative 2 over 1. So that makes this negative 26 over 4, which simplifies down to a negative 13 over 2. And then on the right, we still have y minus 8. Now again, to get y fully by itself, we're going to have to add 8 to both sides. That means we're going to have to add fractions. So we're going to have y equals 13 over 4x. Then, again, do it on the side. Negative 13 over 2 plus 8 over 1. So I need to make the denominators the same, 2 over 2. So we have negative 13 over 2 plus 8 times 2 makes 16. 1 times 2 makes 2. And negative 13 plus a 16 is a positive 3 over 2. So this is our final slope-intercept form. Y is by itself, and we have the slope and the y-intercept. One more together, then you can try a couple on your own. So number 6, write the equation of the line in standard form that has a slope of negative 2/3 and a y-intercept at 9. So my final answer is going to be in standard form. So we're going to have our answer as ax plus by equals c. Now what are we given? We're given a slope of negative 2/3 and a y-intercept at 9. So since I have a slope and the y-intercept, I can actually start in slope-intercept form. So we're going to start at y equals mx plus b. So we're going to have y equals the m of negative 2/3 x, and then plus the y-intercept of 9. So to get it into this format, we need x and y's on the same side. So that means I'm going to have to add 2/3 x to both sides. Move your x over with the y. So you end up with 2/3 x plus y equals 9. And then the last rule of standard form is that we're not allowed to have fractions. So I need to undo this division by 3. The 2 is fine. We're not really worried about the 2. So instead of multiplying by the full reciprocal, we're just going to multiply by whatever's in the denominator, just the 3. And the reason is this. So if I do 2 over 3 times 3 over 1, you end up with 6 over 3, which simplifies down to a 2. Basically, all you have left is this numerator, which is fine. 2 is not a fraction. So 3 times 2/3 x is 2x. 3 times y makes 3y. 3 times 9 makes 27. So this would be our standard form of the line with a slope of negative 2/3 and a y-intercept at 9. Pause the video, see if you can try number 7 and 8. So here's your two answers for 7 and 8. So for 7, we were given 2 points and we wanted it in point slope form. So we found the slope of 12/5, and then we plugged it in. We have an option of using 2 coordinates. So if you use the coordinate -4 and -6, you get the first answer. Because if you do minus a negative, you end up with a positive. Same thing on the x's. Minus a negative equals positive. Or if you use this coordinate here, 1, 6, you end up with the second answer. Because if you do minus a positive 6, you end up with a -6. Nothing changes about it. And then number 8 wanted it in slope-intercept form. So again, we're given 2 points. So we have the slope of 9/2 after you find it. And here's the key. This is the y-intercept. They gave it to you of -2. So we can actually go straight into slope-intercept form. If you didn't see that and you used maybe this point or this point and started in point slope, you still should have gotten this as your answer for slope-intercept form. Just would have taken a little more work to get there. So let's do number 9 together. So write the equation for a linear function that contains the point 1, 5. So that's what I have. I contain 1, 5. And I have a slope of -1/9. And I want the answer in standard form. So we're going to take this and make it ax plus by equals c. Well, let's see what we're given. We are given a slope and a random point. So since it's a random point, we have to start in point slope form. Cannot jump straight into standard. So we're going to have y minus the y1, so y minus 5 equals my slope of -1/9 times x minus x1 of a 1. So to get this into standard form, we first need to distribute. So -1/9 times x makes -1/9 x. -1/9 times -1 is a positive 1/9. and we have y minus 5 on the left. Now, on the other example, I went ahead and moved negative 5 over. But here's the thing. If you move this over right now, if you add 5, you're going to have to add 5 to 1/9. That means you're going to have to add two fractions together. So what if I kind of jump ahead? I know I'm not allowed to have fractions on standard form. So what if I go ahead and multiply by the denominator and get rid of my fractions right off the bat? So if I do 9 times y, we get 9y. 9 times negative 5 is negative 45 equals. Now, 9 times a negative 9th. The two 9s are going to cancel each other out and create a 1. And negative 1 times x makes negative x. And again, 9 times a 9th of 9 is a 1. So that actually eliminated all of my fractions. Now let's do some more manipulating, now that the fractions are gone. So I'm going to need to add 45 over, because I need all my constants on the right-hand side. So we have 9y equals negative x plus 46. And then the last thing I need to get into standard form is to add the x with my y. So we get x plus 9y equals 46. So you can actually get rid of your fractions first instead of last, if adding fractions is not something that you can do easily. So let's try number 10. Write the equation of a line that passes through 4, 3, and 9, 2 in slope-intercept form. So now I want my answer in y equals mx plus b. So let's see what we're given. I have two coordinates that my line passes through. Well, first and foremost, I always need slope. So we're going to find slope. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. 2 minus 3 over 9 minus 4 equals 2 minus 3 makes negative 1, 9 minus 4 makes 5. So my slope is going to be a negative 1/5. So now we have just two random points. So I can't jump straight into slope-intercept because I'm missing my b. So we're going to have to start in point slope, since all I have is a random point. So y minus y1, I'm just going to choose the point that is labeled x1, y1. So y minus 3 equals my slope of negative 1/5 times x minus 4. And I'm going to get this guy into slope-intercept, which means I need to solve it for y. So negative 1/5 times x makes negative 1/5 x. Negative 1/5 times a negative 4 is a positive 4/5 equals y minus 3. Now, I can't get rid of my fractions because I'm allowed to have fractions in slope-intercept. So I'm going to have to sit here and add, I have to add 3. To get y by itself, you got to add 3, which means I'm going to have to add two fractions together. So we got y equals the negative 1/5 x. Now let's do this on the side. So 4 over 5 plus 3 over 1. So to add fractions, you need common denominators. So I need to multiply this by 5 over 5. So we get 4 over 5 plus 3 times 5 makes 15. 1 times 5 makes 5. And now that they're the same, we can add. So 4 plus 15 makes 19 over 5, which is the y-intercept. And that is your final line in slope-intercept form.